Talk today is about Hajj and pilgrimage and how, inshallah, we can learn from the lesson of the pilgrimage benefits that can be very important in our life. And this lesson, which Hajj offer, is to adhere to modesty and moderation and to avoid over-exaggeration in all affairs, either with excess or deficiency. And that lesson is among the greatest inputs and wisdom that Hajj provides, and in reality is among the principle of Islam and its clear guidance, to be moderate without deficiency or without excess. And we will start with the guidance of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And we will take the pilgrimage and its ritual from its start and from its beginning as we learn from this important event how to act as Muslims. And it was narrated of the guidance of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, to the pilgrim of moderation and avoidance of exaggeration started from the first moment of putting on the ihram garment. So this guidance of the Prophet to be moderate start from the first moment of putting on the special garment of ihram. It was narrated by Abi Dawood on the authority of Salih ibn Abi Hassan that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, saw a man that put on the ihram garments and trying to robe as a belt around his stomach. And he put the garment on and tied a robe as a belt around his stomach. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, "You who have the robe, take it off." And some interpret the reason of the order that the tie in the robe to be a belt can resemble a stitch, which is prohibited in ihram garment. And others said it is because it looked like a robe the Christian priests tie around their waist. So it's very clear that this is what come to the mind of people, why the Prophet prohibited the man from tying a robe around his ihram garment. But the scholar who explained the issue, or explored the issue and studied the issue, interpreted it as a clear prohibition of excess and hardship to be imposed on the soul, forcing it to do more than it required. So the scholar, as they investigate that issue, found out that this is the Prophet asking us and prohibiting us from any excess or any hardship to be imposed on the soul, forcing it to do more than it requires. So when the man who was about to start his pilgrim tied that robe around his garment very hard, the man was actually was forcing himself to prepare himself for a hardship. He was forcing himself or preparing himself for a tight situation, for an overburdening to his effort and to his body. But Imam Zubaydi said, "No, that the one who tied the robe around his waist showed a sign that he intended to force his soul to endure a hardship and suffering." So he was actually starting a situation of hardship, looking like he is doing more than he can handle, and he would burden himself more than he physically can handle. And that tied rope around his garment will be that sign or that enticement for him to do more and to suffer or to struggle more than he can. And the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in his wisdom, in his ability to see through his companion, so that with this holy guided wisdom and transparency, so he ordered him to throw it away. The Prophet have this ability to read people, have this ability to understand why people doing what they do. He actually ordered him to throw that rope away, because there is a lot of guidance and a lot of preparation for the pilgrimage, and he doesn't want the man to be in that state of enduring mentally any hardship or any effort. So, as we know, the pilgrim always in a state of ihram is restricted and prohibited from anything, and from many things. And his pilgrim intended to overload himself with more than he was ordered, as if the Prophet Muhammad is telling him, when he told him to take that rope off, it is enough for you what is ordered of restriction and prohibited matters. Do not increase the burden on your soul. So the Prophet is actually telling him, disregard any increase of burden on your soul. Just perform what Allah mandate and what Allah ordained of rituals in pilgrimage, and be moderate in these matters. And this command from our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is also very resemblance or very strongly equal that what the Prophet said, that who to turn into hardship in faith will be defeated. The Prophet again, as if he is saying that he who turn into hardship in faith in the area of belief, he will be defeated and he will be not able to fulfill it. And the Prophet, the Imam, is making reference to Amr ibn al-As because he wanted to fast all time, day after day, and the Prophet and the Prophet told him, don't do that, don't fast all the time, and he ended up basically going back to the Prophet. I love to fast, I have the ability, I have the strength. Then the Prophet told him, then if this is the way you feel, then fast one day and break your fast the other day, and this is the fasting of the Prophet Dawood, and be like him. So he was again giving the same command, that do not turn into hardship in religion in any way, because whoever do that, he will be defeated. And also the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said the face of Islam is tough, inclusive and broad, so explore it with ease. And that's definitely a conclusion of all commands, as the Prophet Muhammad defined the faith of Islam being tough, being inclusive, being broad, and explore it with ease. Do not approach it with the idea of hardship, or don't approach it in any way that can overload yourself more than you can actually handle. So let us all, inshallah, follow these commands from our educator and our instructor, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and approach our faith, approach our deen with ease, and we follow its divine laws and guidance in the pilgrimage and in all affairs of our faith without excess or without deficiency. And that definitely will be applied to all our affairs spiritually and even in earthly matter. Be moderate and be in the middle. And that's one of the lessons that the Prophet provides in the pilgrimage. In another lesson in this area of moderation to the pilgrim is the guidance of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in picking. The Imam is saying that we should all act and hope and wish to do the pilgrimage every year, inshallah. At least if we were not invited, if we were not lucky enough to be there, that we always have the intention and always have the wish and the will, inshallah, to do the pilgrimage every year. And if we can't, may Allah give us the rewards according to our intention. And the second lesson we're going to talk about, inshallah, from the lessons of the pilgrimage, is the guidance of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in picking the stones that are used to stone the symbol of the devil in Mina, in the city of Mina. And the guidance is the size of the stone would be between a fava bean and a chickpeas. This is the guidance. You are not going to go take a boulder and to try to throw the stone on the devil's symbol in Mina. But the guidance is to pick up a stone between fava beans and the chickpea. So some might exceed that desired size, seeking a larger stone, reflecting their tremendous hate to the devil and tremendous anger at him by stoning the devil with a bigger stone, with a bigger piece of rock. But again, it is only a symbol. It is only a symbol to fulfill the requirement of the guidance of the pilgrimage to stone the devil in Mina. So the Prophet actually used that occasion to give guidance to all his companions and to mankind to these days in defining the size of that stone, which again between the size of a fava bean and a chickpea. And this instruction and this command was narrated by Abu Dawood and Ibn Majah on the authority of Ibn Abbas, that he said that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in the morning of the day of sacrifice, as he was riding his camel, asked me to pick for him some stone. He asked actually the one who narrated the hadith, Ibn Abbas, to pick some stones. And Ibn Abbas said, actually continuing narrating the hadith, I picked 7 stones to be used to stone the symbol of the devil. The Prophet took them into his hand and went on to get rid of the dirt out of the stone and said. So after Ibn Abbas picked the stones and given them to the Prophet, he cleaned them from the dirt and between his fingers and said, And the Imam is reiterating again that the size of that stone is as small as in between a fava bean and a chickpeas. And Ibn Abbas, when he picked up the stones, he actually followed the guidance, followed the guidance of his instincts. He followed the guidance. He did not know yet what size of stones to pick, but he followed his instincts. He followed his common sense, if you will, because he was learning, still learning, like all the companions and all people at the time, what the guidance. So he picked these stones and gave them to the Prophet, and the Prophet cleansed them from the dirt, and he said, like these, referring to these stones, like these is what you throw. And then he said again, O people, beware and avoid exceeding the limits. The Prophet was very specific, was very clear, saying, beware and avoid exceeding the limits, crossing the norm or overstating or exaggerating or overstress. So this is all meaning of the command of the Prophet, avoid excess the limit. And he said, avoid excess the limit with your faith. Nothing destroyed who came before you except exceeding the limit with regard to faith. So the Prophet gave a command and give the reason of that command, give the logic of that command. So the command to avoid exceeding the limit with your faith. Whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordained, don't carry it too much. Do not take it over. And the Prophet was very clear, do not exceed the limit with faith. And then he gave the logic of his command by saying, nothing destroyed who came before you except exceeding the limit with regard to faith. So listen from and learn from those who came before you, as nothing destroys him more than exceeding the limit in the area of faith and in the area of belief. So be moderate, be in the middle, be not to any of the extremes in any shape or form. So you don't be exaggerating, or you don't be on the in the area of not doing enough. Just do what you commanded and be moderate in everything. And that command is very clear, that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, wanted the Ummah to benefit from those who came before us. So again, exceeding the limit is to cross the guidelines in excess of what Allah ordered His servant to do. And it is the opposite of doing nothing enough to and wasting what Allah ordered and ordained. That is the middle. You are not exceeding and you are not decreasing. The scholar said the difference between exceeding the limit of what is ordered and wasting what is not and wasting what also is ordered is one going to extreme above and beyond, and the other is not even fulfilling what is mandated. So don't be from either of these two groups. One is to go into extreme above and beyond what is ordered, and the other will not even fulfill what is mandated and what is ordained. Being moderate is not to go to extreme, no exaggeration and no underperformance. Just fulfill what have been ordered and just fulfill what have been commanded. And being moderate with regard to the divine laws is not to lean toward hardship and extreme, which can lead to destruction and of the spirit and the soul, and boredom in with faith, or to be outside the guidance of what is ordained, and not to lean toward extreme ease. Don't go to the other side either, to extreme ease, which can also lead to disregard of the divine laws. Both can lead to irregular practice of the faith and malaise when it comes to worship. You don't want to reach that state to malaise. You don't want to reach a state of boredom. The Prophet Allah and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the soul of mankind, know what mankind can accomplish and what mankind can do. So we need to follow the guidance and the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and what the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, showed us. So the best of everything is to be moderate and reasonable. You have to be moderate and reasonable, and this is the nature and the core of the divine laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, "Thus have we made of you an ummah just balanced, that you might be witnesses over mankind, and the messenger a witness over you." So this is a very clear verse that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made us an ummah just balanced. And when the Prophet said not to exceed the guideline of our faith, the command applied to all kinds of extremism and radicalism in our conviction and deeds. No radicalism, no extremism in our conviction and our deed. Moderation is sought in every avenue of our life, and being balanced is admired in everything. Being distant from exaggeration and hardship, or underperformance and not doing enough, is the right path and the proper road which every Muslim should take, and every Muslim should follow its guidance. My dear brothers and sisters, in another lesson of the lessons of modesty and moderation and avoiding extremism and exaggeration, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, promoted the same behavior when he traveled in Hajj. As he was traveling in Hajj, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, left Arafat. He was commanding people to be calm and to be collected, and not to leave in a hurry with their horses and camel, walking peacefully and not crowded one another. So after you do and you perform the ritual in Arafat, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, also showed a command and showed a guidance to his companion in leaving Arafat. He wants the people to be calm, to be collected, and not to leave in a hurry in any way with their horses or their camel, but he wanted them to walk peacefully and not to crowd one another. And the Prophet showed that as an example by walking slowly, walking calmly, not pushing anybody, not asking anybody to open the road or to pass somebody, but he walked calmly, humbling himself to Allah. And the Prophet was doing that as an actual practice of himself in that occasion. Nobody crowd one another, nobody push one another. And this story was narrated by Abu Dawood and Ibn Abbas, that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, left Arafat calm and peaceful, riding behind him Usama ibn Zayd. So Usama ibn Zayd was riding behind him as the Prophet left Arafat calm and peaceful. And the Imam is reiterating the fact that the exit from Arafat is always crowded, always a lot of people doing the same ritual in the same time, and you cannot leave Arafat after supplicating to Allah and after fulfilling your ritual and leave in an haphazard status or haphazard form. You full of spirituality, you full of submission to Allah. It's a state of mind that should reflect in your body language, should reflect in your ability to control yourself and leave that holy place calm and collective. So the Prophet, as he left Arafat, and behind him on his ride was Usama ibn Zayd, and he left in calm and peace. The Prophet said, "O people," addressing the companion and addressing the people who were there and addressing the people who come 14th century later, saying, "O people, I advise you to be calm and peaceful, because righteousness is not to travel fast, exhausting camel and horses." The Prophet saying, righteousness is not to overload the camel and the horse, to push it, to overload it, is to be calm and to be going in ease and harmony. So the Prophet was saying righteousness is not to travel fast and push the camels and the horses, but to actually to have humility, to have humbleness, to have goodness, to reflect that in your demeanor, to reflect that in your behavior, to reflect that in your language, to reflect that in your dealing with your Muslim brothers. And as Ibn Abbas continued telling the story, he said, "I did not see the horses or the camel raising their legs running in a hurry." So that tells you how the command of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was followed immediately. Obedience to the guidance of the Prophet. And Ibn Abbas said he never seen the horses or the camels raising their legs, running in a hurry or moving fast. So it's an indication that the camel and the horses were just basically walking, not raising their hand to raising their legs, to run or to stir any dust or any crowding of that exit from Arafat. And the story continue as the Prophet reached Al-Muzdalifah, leaving Arafat, and that's a place just before reaching Mina. Al-Fadl ibn Abbas took his turn riding behind him. First it was Usama ibn Zayd who was riding behind the Prophet, and as they reached the Muzdalifah, Al-Fadl ibn Abbas took his turn riding behind the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. The Prophet said again, repeating, "O people, righteousness are not traveling fast, exhausting camels and horses. Be calm and be peaceful." Again, the Prophet reiterating the same command as he reached Al-Muzdalifah. Righteousness is not to travel fast, exhausting your camel and exhausting your horse, but be calm and be peaceful. Ibn Abbas said again, I never saw the horses or the camel raising their legs, running in a hurry until they reached Mina. So until they reached Mina, they were just walking slowly, calmly, in humility. So we can see how Muslim responded with no hesitation or delay in this big gathering of the pilgrimage to the call of the Prophet. And this is very important to realize how to respond and not to argue or not to deviate from the command of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and follow his guidance. So this is the sunnah and the guidance of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and all prophets before him, to be moderate and be sensible. This is the point. This is the message. Be moderate and be sensible, and this is the core of this lesson, and this is the core of the teaching of the Prophet in this occasion of the pilgrimage. So whoever deviates from the guidance of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and contradict his sunnah, he does not belong to Islam, the authentic, easy and straightforward faith. And whoever follows the guidance and the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he belongs to Islam, the easy and authentic and straightforward faith. Our deen is very simple, our deen is very clear, our deen is very logical. You don't go extreme, either overdo it or being deficient, not fulfilling what you are commanded and what are you ordered. So strive and do your best, my dear brother and sister, with faith. And don't exceed the boundaries of our divine law. Do not cross the line that makes you among the extremists, the radical, and the fanatic that all in the day of judgment will be demised and will be punished. And the Imam is making a reference to a lot of the fatwas that goes on the net and on a TV and a satellite. That there are a lot of fatwas that actually contradict our divine laws and not accurate in its guidance in any way. And the Imam was making an example of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, when he was visiting a temple of a Jewish temple, and when he got there, the Jews trying to kind of make him comfortable, so to give him a pillow to sit on, and then he asked him. They asked him about. He asked them about an issue in the Torah, and he asked to bring him the Torah. And when they brought the Torah, the book, he took the pillow from underneath him and he put the Torah on it, respecting the guidance and the word of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala in His teaching. So the point is giving fatwa and giving guidance with regard to the divine laws of Allah should only come from a righteous scholar who fears Allah. And that's why when you listen to the TV and the net and the satellite, make sure where you are getting your sources. It's not because it is said on TV or online that it is true. There is a lot of imposters that are trying to corrupt and put in our face what it doesn't belong to it. And the Imam is just giving an example of a fatwa that was aired on TV that was not correct and was not accurate. The Imam was saying, is reiterating again that scholars, when they don't know an issue, they should be accurate and fearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in their fatwa. They do not deny or they do not permit anything that they are not sure or they don't know about. They should only follow the guidance and the clear guidance of our Sunnah and the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And the Imam is saying it is definitely not a shame for a scholar to say, I don't know, or I am not sure of this issue. And actually, this was referring to a caller on a TV program that asked that host about an issue of sending regards to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, when the people going to pilgrimage and going to visit the mosque of the Prophet. Is it, her question was, is it alright to send the salam to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, when somebody is visiting his mosque? And the answer from that host of that show saying, no, this form of salam is not known. He can say, I am not sure or I don't know, but it is an issue that is it is easy to endorse that you send regard to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So simple issues, but some hosts of these TV shows will make it more of a hardship and make it more of an issue that it is a non-issue completely. So again, going back to the original subject, that when we say we are going to be moderate, we'll be moderate with the guidance of Allah in His Quran and the guidance of the Prophet Muhammad in His Sunnah. when Imam was referring to the last pilgrimage of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that it was a very overcrowded pilgrimage because all the companion and all the Muslim at the time wanted to be with the Prophet in his basically goodbye pilgrimage, and they all, regardless of the crowd, regardless of the crowd and the number, they listened to the Prophet, they listened to his guidance, they applied his guidance. And this is what we should do ourselves, is to follow the guidance today of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, to be a reflection of his instruction and his commands, and a reflection of our faith. Let us all know that being modest and moderates in our religion and our religious affair cannot follow a personal desire and a personal need or wishes, but only follow the boundaries of the Quran and the Sunnah and what provided of assistance and guidance. May Allah make us all among those who follow the Quran and the guidance of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Brothers, if you have any question, please don't hesitate to ask. Wassalamu alaikum.